Welcome to my first YouTube video, guys. I'm really excited to do this recipe with you. It is one of the most requested so far, the pulled pork burgers. Let's start by prepping the pork. We're going to get 3 onions, peel them, chop them into quarters, and set them aside for use later on. Grab yourself a pork shoulder. Preferably, you want the bone in, but if you don't like me, then don't worry. Take off the butcher's twine, and then take the rind off. Gradually work your way through with the knife, being careful not to cut any of the meat. Right then, next we're going to get the marinade going. Start by going in with 3 tablespoons of smoked paprika, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 5 garlic cloves. A great tip for peeling lots of garlic cloves at once is to use a shaker. Cut off the root ends and pop them in, give them a shake, and they'll be done. We then want to mince the garlic. Don't worry if it's not too fine, this is going in the marinade. Pop the garlic in, add some thyme, but remove the woody stalks, some salt, a few grinds of pepper, a few tablespoons of olive oil, and mix until a nice paste is formed. Time to assemble. We're going to get a fresh pan and put the onions in. Add the pork, pour over the marinade, and rub that in until it's all used up and completely covered. Cover and set aside to marinate for at least a few hours. The longer you leave it, the tastier the meat. When ready, roast for 2 hours at 200 degrees Celsius. First of our toppings is the pork crackling. Using the rind we cut off earlier, we're going to score diagonally across the meat, pat dry, and place on baking paper in a roasting tray. Cover thoroughly with lots of sea salt. For really crisp and puffy crackling, we're going to roast it at 220 for 25 minutes. And here we have it, some beautifully crispy crackling. For topping number 2, we're going to have a beautiful red cabbage slaw. Cut the cabbage in half, thinly slice across the cabbage to get some nice crisp pieces. Get some coriander, remove the stalks, and finely chop it. In a new bowl, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of yogurt, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a nice generous handful of that coriander, and the red cabbage. Season, give it a mix, give it a taste, and set it aside for later on. Once the pork has cooked for 2 hours and got that beautiful crisp exterior, we're going to go ahead and pour over the cider. Cover with tin foil and whack it back in the oven at 140 degrees Celsius for 5 hours. Next up, we're going to make the burger buns. In a separate pan, we're going to add 45 grams of milk, 45 grams of water, and 20 grams of bread flour. Keep stirring until you reach the nice, thick consistency. Take off the heat and set aside, ready for use later on. In a stand mixer, we're going to add 320 grams of bread flour, 7 grams of sea salt, and gradually incorporate the milk, sugar, and yeast mixture. Once done, then crack in 1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk. Then gradually knead in 42 grams of unsalted butter. After 10 minutes of kneading, remove from the stand mixer. Scrape out onto a clean work surface and roll into a ball. Place into an oiled container, cover and leave to rest until doubled in size. Whilst the dough is resting, we're going to make the chipotle mayonnaise. In a separate bowl, add 2 egg yolks, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and whisk. Gradually incorporate 70 ml of neutral tasting oil. Season with salt and pepper, and you'll end up with a simple mayonnaise. To make it chipotle, we're going to add in some honey, whole grain mustard, chipotle paste, smoked paprika, stir it in, and there you have a beautiful chipotle mayonnaise. Once the pork has cooked, take it out and set aside. Leave it to rest for half an hour. In a new saucepan, strain the juices. Don't get rid of the onions, these are perfect for the burger later on. Put those strained juices in a new saucepan, get them on a low heat, and reduce until nice and thick. Once the sauce has reduced, the pork should be ready to shred. With 2 forks, we want to slowly shred the meat. There's no set rule to this, just pull it apart until you get the size chunks you want. Tip over the reduced sauce, give it a mix, and there you have the pulled pork. Once your dough has doubled in size after roughly 2 hours, tip out onto a clean work surface. Divide the dough into 6 equal portions, roughly 100 grams each. Get 1 portion, flatten, and pinch the sides into the middle. Flip over and gently roll in your hand until you get a nice even ball. On a new lightly greased baking sheet, place the dough balls. Cover and rest again for at least 1 to 2 hours. To get a nice gloss on the buns, we're going to make a simple egg wash. Into a container, crack 1 egg and mix with 1 tablespoon of milk. Once doubled in size, we're going to brush the burger buns with the egg wash and place into an oven of 190 degrees Celsius or 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 17 minutes until nice and golden brown. Set aside onto a cooling rack and leave for 1 hour before cutting open. When ready to serve, cut the burger bun in half and give it a little toast. finish, get your toasted burger bun, add some of that chipotle mayonnaise, some of that fresh slaw, some pulled pork, a few of the onions we saved from earlier, some pickled red onions, the fresh crackling, and the top of the burger with some more chipotle mayonnaise. Let's give it a taste. That is the ultimate pulled pork burger.